Welcome to Vital Life Stories, where we explore the profound journeys of individuals striving for greatness amidst life's many challenging obstacles. Meet Ryan, a young student blessed with natural intelligence, bright eyes, and a mind capable of solving complex problems effortlessly. However, Ryan possessed a fatal flaw that held him back, believing his raw talent was enough to conquer every challenge. While others studied late into the night, Ryan often chose leisure, convinced that he could simply improvise when the time came. His afternoons were consumed by the glowing screen of his smartphone, scrolling endlessly through social media feeds instead of opening textbooks. He spent hours lost in vivid daydreams of future success, imagining the applause and awards without putting in the necessary work. "I will start studying tomorrow," he would tell himself repeatedly, pushing his responsibilities further away as the exam date approached rapidly. The morning of the scholarship exam arrived with a heavy atmosphere. Yet Ryan walked into the hall with unearned confidence. As he stared at the paper, the questions seemed alien, and his confidence crumbled under the weight of his lack of preparation. The clock ticked mercilessly on the wall, mocking his inability to focus, as beads of cold sweat formed on his forehead. When the results were finally posted on the bulletin board, Ryan scanned the list frantically, hoping for a miracle to appear. His name was nowhere to be found near the top, while his hard-working friends celebrated their well-deserved victories with joy. Standing alone in the hallway, the harsh truth hit him. Intelligence without discipline is like a fast car without a steering wheel. He felt a deep sense of shame and regret, realizing that his potential had been wasted by his own lack of effort. Determined to change his path, Ryan sought the guidance of Coach Miller, a wise mentor known for training elite mental athletes. Coach Miller did not ask Ryan to open a book. Instead, he led the confused boy to a quiet archery range. Miller handed Ryan a heavy wooden bow and a quiver of arrows, instructing him to hit the distant yellow target center. Ryan pulled the string back with effort, but his eyes wandered to the swaying trees and the birds flying above him. He released the arrow, and it flew wide off the mark, burying itself deep in the grass far from the target. The coach asked him what he saw before releasing, and Ryan listed the trees, the sky, and the movement of grass. Miller shook his head sternly and said, "That is why you failed. A true champion sees only the target, nothing else. To succeed, you must learn to ignore the world around you and channel every ounce of your energy into one point." Ryan took a deep breath, raised the bow again, and this time, he blurred out the background, locking onto the yellow. The arrow whistled through the air and struck the target with a satisfying thud, proving the power of absolute mental focus. Coach Miller then sat Ryan down to explain how this archery lesson applied directly to his academic struggles and daily life. He introduced 4 essential rules for mental discipline that would transform Ryan from a dreamer into a high-achieving doer. The first rule is controlling your thoughts. When your mind starts to wander, you must firmly bring it back to the task. Ryan learned to catch himself daydreaming, mentally snapping his fingers to reset his focus on the textbook lying before him. The second rule is creating a strict schedule, training the brain to expect work at specific times of the day. Ryan drafted a detailed calendar, allocating specific hours for study, rest, and exercise, sticking to it with military precision. The third rule is the elimination of distractions. You cannot focus if your environment is constantly fighting for your attention. He began locking his phone in a drawer and turning off the television before sitting down at his clean study desk. The fourth rule is daily practice. Discipline is not a one-time act, but a habit built through small, consistent actions. Even on days when he felt tired or unmotivated, Ryan forced himself to study, building mental resilience like a muscle. Weeks turned into months, and the chaotic, lazy boy was replaced by a focused young man driven by clear purpose. The next scholarship opportunity arrived, and this time, Ryan was prepared. Not just with intelligence, but with an iron will. He sat in the exam hall, and the silence was no longer intimidating. It was a canvas for his focused mind. His pen moved fluidly across the paper, answering complex questions with the precision of an arrow hitting the bullseye center. He walked out of the exam hall, knowing he had given his absolute best, leaving nothing to chance or luck. When the results were announced, Ryan stood at the very top of the list, securing the prestigious scholarship he desired. He realized that while intelligence is a gift, discipline is a choice, and it is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Coach Miller watched from a distance with a proud smile, knowing that Ryan had mastered the most difficult target, himself. This story reminds us that talent alone is never enough. It must be sharpened by the whetstone of consistent discipline. If you want to achieve your dreams, start by refining your focus and building the habits that lead to success. Thank you for watching Vital Life Stories. Subscribe for more inspiring tales of growth, and remember to aim for your goals.